All right, welcome to Week 6 Cavalier Insider Preview. Andrew Ramspacher and John Shifflett, and back behind the camera doing the work, Whitey Reed after his marriage. So congratulations to him. Which brings us to our stat of the episode here: UVA in 2012, while Whitey Reed engaged, 2-0. Whitey Reed married and on a honeymoon, 0-3. So maybe fortunes, go back to the normal direction here as he's returned to work.
Let's hope. I mean, that's a pretty telling stat. You might want to not let Mike London find out about that. He could be working the divorce angle here very soon.
I thought you were going to go with the weight gain stat that I just told you before we started. So
we won't go into his honeymoon food details, but we will go into Virginia taking on Duke, going down to Durham, North Carolina, Wallace Wade Stadium, kickoff at 3 o'clock. And, well, John, really this is a must-win for UVA. Has never started a season 2-4 and have gone on to see the postseason, to go to a bowl, and they're going to try to go at it here with a new man behind center.
Yeah, Phillip Sims gets his first career start. This is an exciting week for Virginia. I mean, when they brought him in, this is kind of what people thought he was going to be the starter at some point this year. He showed some really good signs against Louisiana Tech, almost brought him back. We might be talking about something different if they hadn't, gotten that penalty there on that punt. Maybe he would have led him to a winning touchdown, and it'd be a little bit more excitement going in the air. But still, it's a pretty big deal, and Sims is going to get a chance to show what he can do.
And I think the first thing that Phillip Sims has got to create, granted, he's got the big arm, he has a ton of talent. Pretty mild-mannered kid, doesn't really seem to have that big of an ego, at least from the interaction that we've had with him media-wise. But the number one thing, in my opinion, that he has to do isn't so much score a bunch of points and lead him down the field a bunch of times, but it's protect the ball. This UVA team has been absolutely plagued by turnovers, 13 in 5 games. And on the other side, the defense has only forced 3 turnovers. This is a -10 turnover margin squad right now, which is almost last in the country, and a big reason why this team's struggling right now.
Yeah, it's been really weird. They could very easily be 1-3 because they turned the ball over 4 times against Penn State and just were lucky the kicker couldn't hit anything that day. It's been a really bizarre year. Lots of turnovers on the offensive side, and the defense just can't seem to force them. I mean, usually if you lose a turnover battle, you lose the game. So Virginia's got to get that turned around, figure out some way to create pressure, create turnovers. And yeah, like you said, Phillip Sims has got to hold on to the football, not make bad decisions and throw interceptions.
Phillip Sims, in his 5 game appearances this season, all coming in the second half, 5 touchdown passes, 0 interceptions, has fumbled a couple times as a result of some sacks, once against Penn State, once against TCU. So he doesn't have a complete clean sheet on the year, but a little better than Michael Rocco's 8 interceptions in his 5 games there. So back to Sims for a second, because he is the absolute story of this going in. The kid comes from Alabama in midsummer, as you mentioned. Wahoo fans, I think, were counting down the days until this actually happened. He became the starter. We know about the talent. We know about the history. He has not started a game in 3.5 seasons, dating back to his days at Oscar Smith High School. They lost in a state semifinal in 2009. Do you expect rust there at the beginning? Granted, he's played so far this season, played a little bit at Alabama, but has not been in this role before.
I think there might be a little bit of nerves going in there because, as you said, he's kind of come in a relief role in the past couple of weeks. I think he's certainly going to be excited. It's been a long, long time for a kid who threw 114 touchdown passes in high school. You thought he'd be starting in college a little sooner than this. But, this is his chance. Talking to him after the games, he seems like he's got a pretty good head on his shoulders, and he's pretty even keeled. So I think he'll be able to manage it. You might see some overthrows early on just due to some nerves and a little bit of rust, but I think he'll settle in nicely and do a pretty good job against Duke.
He'll take on a Duke team that's off to its best start since 1994. Break up the Blue Devils. They're 4-1, 2 games away from going to a bowl game for the first time since '94. Is this team for real? I mean, a couple wins away here, and this is all of a sudden could be. They win Saturday, 2-0 in the ACC. Duke a contender?
Yeah, they have some nice pieces. They have Connor Vernon out of wide receiver. He's 1 catch away from being the ACC's all-time receptions leader. They have Sean Renfrey. Granted, he's banged up, might not play tomorrow, but they've got some nice weapons. David Cutcliffe's done a really good job building that team up. And last year they looked like they were going to be a bowl team, and then just kind of fell apart there at the end of the season. So far, they're 4-1. They beat Wake last week for the first time in 12 years. Exercised that demon. And they've done pretty well against Virginia. So they win this week. They're 5-1 and undefeated in the ACC.
Yeah, Duke started 3-2 last year before losing those last 7 games for another bowlless season. And this week they'll start potentially, as you mentioned, without Sean Renfrey, their quarterback the last 4 seasons. Might go with sophomore Anthony Boone. Renfrey, a game-time decision with an elbow injury. So we'll see what happens. A lot of kind of dynamics thrown into this game before roughly 30,000 or so down there at Wallace Wade tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And time for a prediction.
Virginia's really had a lot of trouble down there at Wallace Wade the past couple of times. Duke's kind of had their number. I think they'll do it again. I think Duke wins the game 30-27. I think Virginia's offense will produce some points, but that defense has been struggling, and Duke's had a pretty potent offense. 30-27 on Saturday.
I think the Phillips Sims factor. I'm kind of on the bandwagon right now. I think it leads to a win in his first start. He has a big game, and that defense does just enough to allow the offense to score enough points. And UVA comes out 34-31, the winners. And that will do it for our Week 6 preview into Virginia and Duke. For John Shifflett, I'm Andrew Ramspacher.